You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away.
What else do you know? You know Amazing Grace.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound. Saved one like mine. I once was lost, but now I'm but now I see.
You know Daisy? Daisy.
Daisy, give me your answer, dear. I'm half crazy, all for the love of you. It might be a stylish marriage, we can't afford a carriage. But you look sweet upon the seat of a bicycle built for two.
You're flirting.
Yeah, I can't help it.
Hello and welcome. This program is presented by the Eastern North Carolina chapter of the Alzheimer's Association. It's designed for professional caregivers to help you do a better job. By the end of this tape, we want you to better understand dementia and its symptoms, as well as its implications for the people you care for. We also want you to build skills to do better at interacting and helping the people you care for. And finally, we want to give you a new way of looking at problem behaviors and how to solve them. Most importantly, however, we want you to understand that people with dementia are simply doing the best that they can. They have a very challenging condition. You as caregivers have a tremendous responsibility. You have the opportunity to make a difference. Throughout this video, we will be looking in on a classroom where caregivers are learning the techniques to use. We'll also visit an assisted living facility where we'll see the techniques in action and see the difference they can make. Let's get started. So what is dementia? We know now that it's not a normal part of the aging process. It's a disease process. It's not simple forgetfulness. It's worse than that. You lose the ability to process information, think, and judge things. It makes independent living impossible. It is an umbrella term. It actually covers about 70 types of conditions. Some are reversible and some are not. The most common form of dementia is Alzheimer's disease. It accounts for over 50% of all dementias. One way to look at this disease is to imagine that your brain is a very healthy forest with thousands and thousands of healthy trees. But in the middle of that forest, we have kudzu. It starts off slow and gradual. It wraps itself around individual trees, gradually strangling them and eventually killing them. Ultimately, the kudzu will flow throughout the forest and kill every single tree.
Basically, you can consider Alzheimer's disease to be brain failure. Now think about that a minute. Have you ever known anybody with congestive heart failure? What's the big symptom of congestive heart failure? What do you notice those people have trouble doing? They start to get fluid building up in their lungs and they...
Breathing sort of sounds like a breathing problem.
Yeah, they have a lot of trouble breathing. They get real short of breath. Where you're going to walk up to someone who's having shortness of breath because of congestive heart failure and say, "Come on, honey, breathe better." Come on. Now, you're not trying. You know, he could breathe yesterday. He's just not trying to breathe today. Come on. Try to breathe hard, JD. Would you do that? Why wouldn't you do that?
It's not really taking care of the problem.
It doesn't take care of the problem. It doesn't have anything to do with the fluid building up in the lungs. But people do this to people with dementia all the time, and it doesn't work. There are basically two processes that are affecting the brain of people with dementia and with Alzheimer's disease specifically. The first part is on a structural cellular level. The brain cells themselves, the neurons, are starting to die and shrink. And when that happens, communication between the cells is interrupted. You also have a second piece. You've got a chemical piece, and the little neurotransmitters that jump from nerve cell to nerve cell become depleted. So if the nerve cells are dying, the messenger chemicals that jump from cell to cell are becoming depleted. How do you think those people's brains work?
Not very well.
Not very well. And the reason people with dementia have problems and struggle is because of these processes. Now, Alzheimer's disease is a progressive disease, and it's fairly predictable in what we can expect will happen next. Doesn't mean everybody's exactly the same, because we've got 5 people here, and y'all aren't the same, so everyone's going to experience the disease in a unique way. But basically, Alzheimer's disease is a progressive disease. It's a terminal disease. And it affects probably 1 out of 10 families in the United States directly. We've even learned about the life expectancy of people with dementia, and it's actually getting longer. The average now expected life is between 8 to 12 years. And the reason the life expectancy is extended is not because we're able to change the disease, but it's because we're diagnosing it earlier. And so we know earlier in the disease when people start to have symptoms, and we can impact them a little bit better.
Now, we've talked about Alzheimer's, but there are other types of dementia. The second most common type of dementia is multi-infarct dementia, caused by little strokes in the brain, also called vascular dementia. In this situation, it's not the brain cells themselves that are the problem, it's the blood supply. But if the cells can't get oxygen and nourishment, they will die. Because it's blood supply related, however, it's less predictable in its course and how quickly it will progress. Although Alzheimer's disease and multi-infarct dementia account for the vast majority of dementias, remember there are over 70 other types of this condition. Each of them is somewhat unique, but they are similar enough that if you learn how to help someone with Alzheimer's disease, you'll be able to help these other people as well. It's important to get a good diagnosis. We can now diagnose with 90% accuracy. Everyone deserves a good workup. There are some conditions that mimic dementia. They can actually be treated and reversed. People deserve a chance. We want to make sure we give it to them. Now, we're going to take a look at what an actual brain with Alzheimer's looks like. This is possible because of a gift of some very special people who donated the brains of people they loved after they died. I want you to take a look at this and tell me the difference between those two brains.
The Alzheimer's brain is considerably smaller.
One smaller. What else? Particularly look this versus that. What do you notice? The gap is bigger. What do you notice about how big or how juicy the actual parts of the brain are? A little less juicy. Yeah. These people were the same age, same size, same sex. The only difference between these two people was one had Alzheimer's and one didn't. Okay. When Melanie said the brain shrinks, it literally shrinks. It will go down to 1/3 its original size. Now, it doesn't look that much smaller, but you have to understand, and we'll be looking at some slides that'll help you understand, it's actually shrinking from the inside as well. Let me have you look at another slide. And these are going to help you understand some of the symptoms. The part of the slide I'm real interested in you looking at is right in this area versus that area. What do you notice?
It's gone.
It's gone. It's gone. This is memory, your ability to remember. So that's why one of the hallmarks of Alzheimer's disease is people can't remember. But they can't remember in sort of a specific way. What happens is you lose immediate recall first. And what happens is, say 3 o'clock. What time am I going to go to the doctor's today?
3 o'clock.
Oh yeah, 3 o'clock. Now when I go, I need to ask him about this bump. It's been really been bothering me a lot. Now what time are we going to go?
3 o'clock.
3 o'clock, yeah. Yeah, now when I go, I don't much care for him, but he's real good. He's a real good doctor. What time are we going to go?
3 o'clock.
3. How many times do you think I will ask him?
A lot.
A lot. The reason I'm going to ask a lot is because as I take the information in, you think, because I say it back to you, I've actually stored it. But when I go to put it in my file cabinet, someone's stolen the file cabinet. So no matter how hard I go and look, it's missing. And so when you can't find something, what do you assume? It's not there. So I'll say, now what time are we going to the doctor's?
3 o'clock.
Now if his voice changes, he thinks I'm stupid or something. He tells me he already told me. No, you didn't. If you told me, I would remember. So it gets into that kind of struggle. Early in the disease, what I find often with memory problems is it's the little stuff, but it wears on you as a caregiver. Okay? The disease gets worse. What you will actually do is almost travel back in time. You lose your most recent memories. It's just of the morning, it's just of the day, it's of the week, it's of a couple months, it's of a couple years. And you can't remember what happened in this part of your life. What becomes real to you is what happened 10 years ago or 20 years ago. What's going to happen then is I'm going to look at you, who's my sister, and think you're my mother, because I can't figure out how you could look that old, because I'm not. I'm this age now, okay, in my mind. I bet you smoked your whole life, haven't you? You probably picked up that habit early on. Wait a minute, let me see here. I'm not best at this, right? There you go. How's that? All right. Now, have you smoked your whole life?
I've been smoking since I was about 14.
Oh my heavens. Woo! And now you're,
33.
You've been smoking a good long while then. We can actually have situations where people look in the mirror and don't know who they're seeing and say things like, who's that old man? You know, get him out of my bathroom. I can't go in there. There's an old man in my bathroom. Get him out. And they're looking at themselves. Look in the mirror.
I don't know who that fella is.
You don't know who that fella is? Does he need a shave?
No, I don't think it is.
Well, let's feel it. Woo! What do you think?
I thought it was smooth and pretty.
When family come to visit, it's very hard on them because the relationship is lost. They don't know the relationship anymore. They know the person, but they can't figure out how, and their brain tries to fix it. And so what you hear a lot of is the term confabulation. It means making up information. Now, they aren't making up information, their brain is. Their brain is filling in the gaps and trying to make sense of it. And often it picks things that it really wants to be true. So if I really like you and I want to spend some time with you, we went fishing this morning. My brain, that's what I did this morning. I don't remember what I did this morning. I don't have a clue because that part's all gone. So when I see you, I said, now that was good. I had a good trip with you. And you're going, what are you talking about? We hadn't been anywhere. I'm not lying. I really think my brain tells me that's what happened because it's trying to fill in the gaps.
Where's your favorite place?
Now, Verlene has just finished a perfectly reasonable, on-target conversation with Melanie. But it's our second day of shooting, and she knows the crew, but she doesn't know how. So, she confabulates her relationship with our unmarried sound man.
They're a
Listen.
nice group, aren't they? They're hard workers.
How's your little fella?
Yeah.
Tell your wife I said hello.
Okay.
I told her that I had met you.
I don't do it every
Now, Mary is obviously an older woman, but listen to how she talks about her mama. It's as if her mother is actually still living nearby and giving her young daughter advice about cooking.
Well, my mom was the one that's a good cook, and
She's the one that's the
I
good
miss
cook.
something, I call her up, and she said, "Remember, this
Uh-huh.
goes out."
So she always reminds you of what you're supposed to do when you forget something.
She does if she's in a way in it, and sometimes I'm not even in the kitchen
Did she
when
teach
I'm
you?
doing that because I want her to get out and get.
Now, making up information about people is a common problem, but confabulation also occurs with objects and things in the environment. Now, Yuvine doesn't remember where her walker is when she can't see it, but she thinks she does. Now, your walker is where?
It's in there with me.
Okay, I think actually here it is. It's back here.
I brought it with me.
You did bring it
I
with
walked in here
you.
with
Yes, you sure did. Come on, turn around. That's it. Good. I'm going to give you my hand. till we get you straightened out here. There you go. The disease gets worse and worse, and what really becomes real to me are memories from my childhood or very, very strong emotional memories. So you may have a situation where something that happened to you very young in life comes back to you again. So I had a lady who would go around and say, honey, I've got to get to the hospital. I've got to get there right now. Can you take me? My husband's had a heart attack. I need to get to the hospital now. Please, dear God, will you take me?
Of course.
Of course you would, except
It's not
if you take me to the hospital, what you're going to find out is this happened 30 years ago. And the reality is I didn't make it. And he died before I got there. And now dementia and Alzheimer's is having me replay that and try to resolve it. And this lady would do this 30, 40 times a day because she was stuck in that memory.
Eventually, does that memory go away?
That memory will eventually go away and she'll lose more and more, and eventually it will be totally, everything will be gone. I will remember nothing. Okay, what do you know about the difference between those two brains?
one smaller.
And well, this is that big hole in the middle I was telling you about. It's just totally gone. This is your ability to speak and use language. So what's going to happen with Alzheimer's disease is you will lose the ability to speak. And it starts off just with some word-finding problems or some made-up word kinds of things. So I want to go down to where we sing on Sunday. Worship, we go...
The church?
Yeah, the church. Can you take me to the church? Now, why can he still help me? What did I can give him enough clues. So even though I have problems finding words, I have enough other ways that I can get him to get the word. And we're still communicating, and it's okay. As long as he's willing to do that, it's fine.
What's the secret to making a good biscuit?
Well, I just, take and fix my,
Show me. What do you do with a good biscuit?
I just take it and grind it up, and then I take it and then stick it over in the bucket, in the thing, I can't even talk.
I know what you're talking about. I've seen my mama make biscuits. I know it. So you roll it up, and then you kind of catch your fingernail. You put your fingerprints on it.
That's right.
And then what do you do next?
Then I put mine in the
On a flat pan
and stick it in the oven
and stick it in the oven.
and let it get done.
Now, how long does it take?
What happens is the disease gets worse. Where did you put it?
I'm sorry, put what?
You put it up. What'd you do with it?
I'm not really sure. Can
You know where you put it. Now, don't start with me with where you have it. What'd you do with it? You do this every time you come. Now, who's getting up frustrated and upset? Caregiver, because she's trying to help, and who else? And me, because I want to communicate, and I'm starting to have trouble. And she can't help me so much anymore because I just get this real general terms. It, the thing, you know what I mean. That, because I can't find the word. It's getting bad enough I can't find words. Then it will get to a point where I only have certain phrases I have available to me. Hey there, how you doing? How you been?
Fine.
Good. Hey, how you been?
Fine.
Hey, how you doing?
Great.
How you been?
I'm doing good.
How you been? How you been? How you been?
I'm doing good.
Now, am I still having emotional? Am I still trying to communicate? But I don't have any different words. What did I want her to do? What did I want Gina to do?
We don't know. Come with you?
Gina knows. I wanted her to come with me, and she wasn't doing it. And so she has to start picking up on what? My nonverbal, because the words aren't working, but I'm still using communication. I'm still trying. Eventually, it will get so bad that I don't have anything. And then I'm really not trying to communicate. What I'm going to be doing then is ba 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 ba. Now, I'm doing that not to irritate you, though it will. Okay, I'm doing it because it sort of feels interesting in my mouth. Go ahead, everybody, and go da 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 da. And that's what's happening. The brain is so damaged at that point. They're looking for sensory stimulation, and some of it's oral. So you're going to hear things and see people do things with their mouths that are just interesting things to them.
Honestly, I get that too. It's very nice.
and I dropped away. For bread and bread, and I turned it with some.
The first time Virginia came in and saw Frank, she said, now, one more point about language. Language is typically, formal language is stored on the left side of the brain. But over on the right side of the brain, you have some unique things related to language. 3 things. One is song, music, and rhythm. So this is why with people with Alzheimer's disease, they cannot say anything. They can sing all 4 verses of familiar hymns perfectly. Pitch, everything. They do a great job at that. And so it's a wonderful tool to use because it's something that's, we call it preserved. It's something left. Oh, beautiful. Second thing over there is automatic speech. So automatic yeses or nos. They aren't really answering your question. And you don't figure it out until you start doing something and then they suddenly realize what's going to happen and the crap hits the fan in a big way. Okay? So what happens is you're being very pleasant and saying yes. Okay, you ready to go take your bath?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, well, let's get you undressed and we'll take you down to take a bath. And now all of a sudden, she goes,
No.
well, now come on, you said you were willing to do it. She wasn't really saying that. She really didn't understand what was going on, and she was being pleasant because social skills are preserved past the point of language. Hey, Glenn. Hey. How you doing?
I'm doing fine.
Good. I'm glad to hear it. You gonna go for a walk with me?
Yeah.
Sure.
You can back with me when you have sex that starts.
All right.
And then, okay, and then we'll all go together.
All right, we'll all go together.
Making it known.
All right, let's go.
That's fine. No, I
No.
don't. Because I don't know.
Huh?
And they all taste us, can kill me.
Uh-huh. You ready to go?
Yeah. Well, you go and have a good time.
Okay.
And I'll go.
All right. I'll see you later.
Just shut it.
Okay. I'm going to leave it open. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye, sweetheart.
Final thing on this side, right-hand side. Shit damn. Swearing. Swearing is something you learned when you were real young. It's automatic language. Okay? You learned it, and then why did you stop using it?
It wasn't proper.
You were told to stop, okay? You were said, you don't do that, no way, okay? Your mama said it, your church, your synagogue, somebody told you don't do that, and you learn not to do it, okay? When you get Alzheimer's disease, that ability to control and not have that happen, it's called impulse control, you lose that. And you also lost the words you did in substitution. When you dropped a canister on the floor and it went all over the place, automatically, in your brain, you said, shit. Okay, you automatically did. It was automatic. But you have learned you're not supposed to say that, so you hold it inside. You go over here and you find another word over in the left-hand side of your brain. You go, shoot, sugar, darn. Whatever it is, you come up with another word. With Alzheimer's disease, you lack both the ability to control the impulse, and then when you go to look for another word, there's nothing there. Okay? So that's the swearing. So your mom did swear before, she just did it upstairs and inside, and now it's right out there in front. And that's a big complaint we hear a lot about. Next slide. This is your ability to understand language. Particularly interested in this area here versus this area here. It's all shriveled up. It's estimated early in the disease, people basically only understand 3 out of 4 words. 3 out of 4 words. They're missing 1 word already in a group of that many. Early in the disease. By the middle and late stages of the disease, it's 1 out of 2 words, and by the end of the disease, they understand almost no language. They can't process language. So you're talking to them, and they don't understand you, and that's why you're getting that very pleasant, automatic, yeah, uh-huh, but they didn't get it. Okay? Final slide I want to show you. What's the difference between this and that?
Later now, it's empty.
It's empty. It's gone. This is the ability to control your temper, your mood, and your affect. So what does this mean about people with Alzheimer's disease?
They seem angry.
They seem angry. And when they get angry, they're going to get very angry. Yeah. What about happy? Yeah, and maybe you didn't even say anything that funny, but I get hysterically happy because I can't control my emotions. What about a little tiny bit of frustration? Bitch, get out of here! Okay? That, because it's a combination of not controlling impulses and a lot of anger or a lot of frustration. Bubba! Hey! What's up?
Nothing up all down.
You're having a hard day. Is it not going
Get
well
on
today?
down and shut up.
Okay. You want to walk on your own?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, I'll leave you be. So this is the situation where they aren't trying to get on your nerves, but if you get on their nerves, you're really going to see it act out very, very quickly. All the more reason we're looking at somebody whose brains look like this. Who has the potential to change behavior?
We do.
Y'all do. You do. They're doing the best they can. They have brain failure. They have a terminal disease. Eventually, Alzheimer's will kill them.